Last week we had huge momentum in the Forex market. How will that impact this week's price action on these four currency pairs? That's the focus of this video from Admiral Markets. First of all though, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience, may not be suitable for everyone. Take a look at admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity. Also, be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk, may not be suitable for everyone. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. And by continuing watching this video, you agree with this disclaimer. Plus, you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Let's kick off this Forex recap with the AUD USD weekly chart. And we're looking basically at a strong weekly candle with the close near the high, only a few pips away, a close that is clearly above the high of the week before that. So we're obviously here looking at a very strong bullish price action signal at the 61.8 fib after breaking what looks to be a very good downtrend, of course, here on the AUD USD. So we're breaking this downtrend with a good breakout, pulling back to the 61.8 and bouncing off that with these bullish candles. So to me, that looks like a potential for this week to continue with that upside and retest these resistance levels at 75, 76, 77 and see how far we can get. Let's take a look at lower time frames like the daily chart, and we can see here that price had a good breakout candle above this trend line, I should say, the resistance trend line. So we had two breakouts on the weekly and on the daily right here. And that's something we were looking at last week, weren't we? We were saying, like, look at this bouncing area because of the support. So at this moment, looking at the daily chart, we can see a good continuation. Let's continue downwards to the 4-hour chart. What I'm looking basically for is a confirmation that we're bouncing at the 38.2 fib. So what I'm really looking for is a bullish 4-hour candle with a decent size, not all too small, not something like this, but maybe something like at least, let's see, this or this. So let's take a look how big that is. That's probably around 50. No, it's only 40 pips, I would say. Is okay-ish. So that candle close should be above the high of this candle to confirm that price is continuing to the upside. If it is a doji, then I wouldn't be surprised if price makes actually a correction lower. Look at this momentum already here. We see a bit of a flag, so we could continue down to the 50 fib before bouncing and going up higher. That's what I'm looking at the moment. Obviously, we have strong momentum to the upside. All right, so that's the primary focus for myself and the continuation of that. However, it could be that there could be a larger correction, a larger ABC zigzag to the lower fib before price bounces. So these are the two main scenarios I'm looking at. Basically, a bounce at the 50 fib, that I'll be interested in, or the 61.8, obviously. Or if it doesn't get that low, then to look at the 4-hour chart and see if we can get a 4-hour candle that is a good close and to see a continuation. I've been looking for basically these 4-hour candles to show good strength, and if they do, I'll be trying to ride that this week, trying to maybe scale in on lower time frames like an hourly and 15, and you can see those webinars throughout the week. And I think that price then has a good chance to retest these bottoms and tops here before finding any strong resistance at around 75, 76, 77. So join us in the live webinars, by the way, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tuesday, we take a look at price action trading, and Wednesday at strategy using fibs and alligators. So look forward to that. Of course, Nenad has his weekly FX recap today on Monday, looking at the currency pairs and giving setups. And Thursday, we take a look at price action strategy part 2 as a sequel, of course, so looking forward to that. Let's continue with the euro-dollar weekly chart, and here too we see a strong weekly candle, just like the Aussie. We had a couple of good weeks to the downside after that pin bar, the bullish pin bar right here, right? And we got a good follow through on that. But last week we saw a very good reversal at the trendline support. We were talking about the fact in the live trading rooms that price could bounce at this weekly daily support. That's what it did. Bounced very strongly, showed a good positive bullish candle. So for me, I think that any retracement is again reason to look for any dips, basically to look for upside to break at least this weekly high. Actually, the weekly high is already broken of last week, but anyhow, to continue upwards to retest the 114.16, 115, 116, We're going to have to see how price responds in that zone that has been strong resistance for a long time. So it could be again resistance, and it might not break through that. If it does break through, then price could go up to 117 and then probably challenge 120, which is the next big fib on the monthly chart. All right. So we'll have to see how price responds to that. But for the moment, a dip and continuation up to that resistance zone seems most likely, and then we'll have to see. So let's zoom in and take a look. You can see strong daily candle, 2 4-hour candles, 2 bearish candles at the moment. But obviously, this momentum is definitely dominating at this point. Just looking for a decent retracement, in my opinion. The 23.6 fib could be enough. In fact, looking at the strength of this momentum, just a simple kind of correction down to the 23.6 fib is where I would already start looking for potential bounces. Probably using the 4-hour chart and looking for 4-hour candlestick patterns at basically any of these 3 fibs. I think could be the bouncing spot. I would not expect price necessarily to go lower than that 50 fib. All right, if the euro dollar is showing this, how about the pound? Is that the same? And it isn't. In fact, that's the interesting part. We saw upside last week, just like the euro dollar, but it slammed into a fib resistance, showed a pin bar, and is now moving lower. So that's a bit of a twist here, a bit of a different divergence here with the euro dollar. And this is looking bearish, considering the lower lows and lower highs. So I'm looking for downside, but it is not as easy as to trade as it sounds, because we are facing still some support levels to consider. We've got this trend line here. We broke a couple of trend lines already. And actually, we broke this one and hooked back to it, bounced off of it. But we still have the bigger weekly support line to deal with. Basically, we got a bottom here as well. All right here. So that is kind of tough at this point. And although it is a bearish environment, I don't see any great setups at this point. Now, it could change if I dive into the 1-hour chart, maybe even the 50-minute chart. And I see a bit of a correction up to one of these fibs here, the 38, maybe the 50. That could be an interesting spot for shorts. But at this moment, it doesn't look like that. I mean, price is moving lower. If it breaks this bottom, I'm already running into a target, then the green trend line. So probably what I have to wait for is sizable today, if it's possible, a sizable downside. Wait for a bear flag or retracement or triangle, and then a continuation break after that. So either a bigger correction and then a turnaround, or a sizable breakout correction and then look for the continuation breakout. So I'm going to be a bit cautious. Now, am I looking for a bounce at these support levels? Not really, considering the bearish momentum at this point. So I'm not looking for a bounce trade at support, but the support is worrying me for trading it to the downside right now. I would like to see it at a different spot, either higher or lower, basically, looking at the pound USD situation. All right, so let's take a look at the dollar yen last but not least. We're looking at the hourly chart, and we see a strong momentum to the downside. So from that point of view, a retracement up to the 38.50 fib, same like the pound, could be good spots to hunt for basically a bounce. Some kind of price action candlestick patterns at these levels, I think, could be interesting. Now, what if price bounces at this level and then starts to move down but shows weakness? In that case, weakness by showing corrective candles like this, and it's showing kind of like a bull flag pattern like this. Well, in that case, I'm going to be cautious, because we have to realize that on a weekly chart, let me first start with the weekly, price is at a 38.2 fib. So that could be a bouncing spot. Now, it's true that looking at the momentum on the daily chart, we do see a strong push lower here. So will price use this level as a bouncing spot or not? That's kind of an interesting spot to be in. Got strong momentum, but strong support too. So it really has to keep an eye on price action and basically see how price responds to the support level. I'm going to keep an eye on this as we go along throughout this week and update my opinion on Tuesday and Wednesday. At this point, I think it's a 50-50. I think it looks pretty much sideways when you look at it from this perspective. And I think it could really price could really go both ways. So ultimately, yeah, when we look at this 4-hour chart, you see there's not really a trend going on. And from this perspective, I think I'm just going to take a look at this hourly chart, see how price responds to the 50 and the 38.2 fib, and then see how price responds as it moves lower, and if it respects this bottom, or if it does break it, does it show divergence when hitting this 272 target, for instance. So it's a bit of a awkward environment for me on the dollar yen, just because of, you know, the two factors are so strong that I don't have a clear favorite at this point in time. But that might change throughout this week, so let's see. That does wrap it up, though, for this moment. Thanks for joining. Wish you good trading and hope to see you in the webinars this week. Cheers.